Welcome to We Learn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 14th of the subject Modern Indian Political Thought and the chapter Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Let's see the topics to be covered. Introduction, Ambedkar's views on the British rule in India, Ambedkar on democracy, on state socialism, Ambedkar and drafting of the Indian Constitution, on social change, removal of untouchability and evaluation. The introduction, Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar was born on 14th April 1891 in Mahar caste. The Mahar caste was one of the untouchable castes. This created many difficulties in Ambedkar's higher education since he was from the untouchable caste. With the help of a scholarship from Sayajirao Gaikwad, Maharaja of Baroda, he attended Columbia University, USA, and later on with hard work managed to study at the London School of Economics. In England, he attained a doctorate and also became a barrister. On returning to India, he virtually dedicated himself to the task of upliftment of the untouchable community. Soon he won the confidence of the untouchables and became their supreme leader. So this was all about the B.R. Ambedkar's life, his early life, and how he attained his education, the higher education, and how he started leading the untouchable classes as their leader. Ambedkar's views on the British rule in India. Ambedkar was aware of the drawbacks inherent in foreign rule. The British government had introduced some representative institutions in India, but full self-government could not have any alternative. He wanted a full self-government wherein people were there and their own people ruled themselves and not any foreign country or any foreign government should be ruling. So any foreign government should not be ruling, but there should be self-government. So he was aware of the drawbacks inherent in the foreign rule. Besides, Ambedkar always complained that the plight of the untouchables did not change under British rule. So when Britishers came, the plight of the untouchables deteriorated further. It did not improve. The British rulers were not interested in removing untouchability. They were not interested in removing untouchability. Rather, they were interested in creating divide and rule and dividing the classes in themselves. Their policy had always been cautious in the matter of social reform. Reforms were likely to anger the upper castes and give them an opportunity to rally against British rule. So basically, reforms were introduced to basically anger the upper caste, to make them angry and to make them anti-Britishers and to give them an opportunity to rally or take a revolt against the British rule. So the reforms were introduced in that nature. Ambedkar's views on democracy. Like many other national leaders, Ambedkar had complete faith in democracy, where people were allowed to participate and to freely express. Dictatorship may be able to produce results quickly, it may be effective in maintaining discipline, but cannot be one's choice as a permanent form of government. He said that dictatorship may produce results quickly or may avoid delays and help in effectively making discipline, but it cannot be made a permanent form of government since it suppresses people's rights and liberties. And in democracy, people's rights and liberties are given to them and they are given free chance to realize their full potential. Democracy is superior because it enhances liberty. It gives them liberty, it gives them equality, it gives dignity of the human beings. People have control over the rulers. Among the different forms of democratic government, Ambedkar's choice fell on the parliamentary form. In this case also, he was in agreement with many other national leaders. So this, he said that parliamentary form of the government was the better form of government where the people were given the rights of choosing their leaders. Meaning of social and economic democracy. Ambedkar viewed democracy as an instrument of bringing about change peacefully. So democracy was considered an instrument of bringing about change peacefully and slowly. Democracy does not merely mean rule by the majority or government by the representatives of the people. This is a formalistic and limited notion of democracy. We would understand the meaning of democracy in a better fashion if we view it as a way of realizing drastic changes in the social and economic spheres of society. So it's not just the rule by the majority. It's more than just a scheme of government, it's way of realizing drastic changes and also giving value, dignity and liberty to the and liberty as well as freedom to the people at large, and making them a part of the system and making them together, making them unified. And Ambedkar's idea of democracy is much more than just a scheme of government. So it has a wider connotation rather than just a scheme of government. Factors necessary for the successful operation of democracy. For the successful functioning of this form of government, it is necessary that certain other conditions must be fulfilled. To begin with, political parties are necessary for the effective working of parliamentary democracy. So if parliamentary democracy has to work successfully, then political parties have to be there for their successful working, and they have to work successfully as well. This will ensure existence of the opposition, which is very important. So in this way, existence of the opposition will be maintained, and in this way the parties and the government will be in check. Parliamentary government is known as responsible government mainly because the executive is constantly watched and controlled by the opposition. So the executive, in this type of government, it is controlled and it is watched by the opposition, wherein any wrong move can be caught by the opposition and it can be exposed. Respect and official status for the opposition means absence of absolute power for the executive. On state socialism, from this discussion you will realize that Ambedkar was not only a scholar with a firm intellectual grip on concepts, but he was also aware of the practical social difficulties in the way of democratic functioning. He was also aware that what kind of practical and social difficulties can come in the way of democratic functioning. Therefore, he emphasized that more liberty cannot be an adequate goal. That just liberty cannot be an adequate goal. There have to be more values within it, and there have to be certain elements and conditions on which liberty can be sustained. Liberty is meaningful when accompanied by equality. When there is equality, only then there can be liberty. So, we want a democratic government which will uphold the idea of equality also. Equality means every citizen is equal in the eyes of the law and everyone should be given a fair treatment. The Western ideas of liberal democracy and parliamentary form of government do not ensure equality. The Western ideas that does not ensure equality in any form according to Ambedkar. So Ambedkar turned to socialism. Socialism wherein state, the collectivity was given the importance or the significance. Inclination to socialism. In those days, two varieties of socialism were prominent. One was Marxist socialism. Ambedkar studied various aspects of Marxism and favored some Marxist principles, where Marxist gave importance to the state. He generally subscribed to the material view of history and agreed to the need for a total change for bringing about equality. So Marxists agreed to the need for bringing a total change, only then equality can be brought upon. The change has to be there. There has to be reforms, only then equality can be brought upon. He also accepted the idea of public ownership of property. However, he did not become a Marxist. He accepted that yes, property has to be publicly owned. Not any single individual, or not only single individual for his or her own vested interest should own the property, but that there has to be a public ownership, there has to be a collective ownership. The other important variety of socialism was democratic socialism. Ambedkar's firm belief in democracy attracted him to this ideology. So democratic socialism, where people were given free rights, and there was also the right of the state. There has to be the collective responsibility, the collective ownership of the means of production by the state to ensure equality and to ensure liberty for the individuals concerned. Meaning of state socialism. In 1947, Ambedkar suggested that the Constitution of India should incorporate the principle of state socialism. State socialism means that the state would implement a socialist program by controlling the industrial and agricultural sectors. That the state would control the industries, the agricultural sectors, the farmers, the way of producing, farming. The state would the state would be controlling that, and the state would be implementing a socialist program wherein the means of production will be collectively owned by the state, and there would be a program where state would be given the importance, and the goods and the products should be owned by the state, and the agricultural, the industries, and the industries and every sector should be controlled by the state. There are two major aspects of Ambedkar's state socialism. Key industries and basic industries will be owned by the state. The major industries and also the basic industries will be owned by the state. Agriculture will be treated as a state industry. This means that the state will initiate collective farming. So the state will take the initiative of doing collective farming and also making agriculture as a state industry to improvise it properly. And also to improvise the key industries, state has to intervene. Role of government. This was possible only if the state functioned as a major partner in the field of industry. Ambedkar believed that the state operating through government will be a neutral agency looking after the interests of the entire community. Therefore, he attached much importance to the role of the government, where government will come and it will look after the needs and affairs of the people. Government, according to him, has to perform the role of a welfare agency, wherein welfare of the citizens can be looked upon. It has to ensure rapid progress and just distribution of the fruits of that progress. So it has to ensure that rapid progress takes place. Government has to ensure that rapid progress of the individual or the masses takes place, and there have to be just distribution of the resources of that progress, of the fruits, that there should be no uneven distribution. There should be equal distribution. The role of the government was not restricted to industry only. It encompassed the tertiary sector, the agriculture, and every other key industries as well. Ambedkar and drafting of the Indian Constitution. In 1947, Ambedkar became chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly of India. His contribution in this role has become immemorable. Ambedkar's legal expertise and knowledge of constitutional laws of different countries was very helpful in framing the Indian Constitution. So Ambedkar's contribution was highly appreciable in the framing of the Indian Constitution, wherein his knowledge of constitutional laws of different countries was also helpful in making the Indian Constitution and framing it. His deep regard for a democratic constitution and insistence upon constitutional morality also helped in this process. So he said that there should be a democratic constitution where everybody was given their own rights and equality, and there should be morality, there should be constitutional morality which would help this in this process. In this sense, he is rightly regarded as the architect of the Indian Constitution. So his ideas were concrete, his ideas were required in the framing of the Indian Constitution. That is why he is known as the father or the architect of the same. On social change, Ambedkar made ceaseless efforts for the removal of untouchability and the material progress of untouchables. That there should be progress, there should be growth and development, whether economically, socially, politically, mentally, there should be growth of untouchables, and he removed untouchability at all. From 1924 onwards, he led the movement of untouchables till the end of his life. So till the end of his life, he kept on leading the movement of the untouchables to remove untouchability. He firmly believed that the progress of the nation could not be realized without first removing untouchability. Ambedkar held the view that the removal of untouchability was linked to the abolition of the caste system, and that it could be only by discarding the religious notions from the basis of the caste system. So only then the untouchability can be removed, because when the caste system has to be removed and the religious notions of it have to be removed, because untouchability was somewhere linked to the caste system, to the abolition of the caste system, and also of the religious notions. If they are removed, the untouchability would automatically be removed. Priority to social reform. Social reform was always the first priority of Dr. Ambedkar. He believed that the economic and political issues should be resolved only after achieving the goal of social justice. Where the goal of social justice will be achieved, only then the political and economic issues will be resolved. And he gave the first priority to social reform, where the evils present in the society can be removed and the society can be reformed for the better. and there would be social justice which gives equal treatment to everyone. If priority is given to the issue of political emancipation, it would mean transfer of power from foreign rules to the upper caste Hindus who are equally distant from the lower castes. So, like the way foreign rule was distant from the lower caste, in the same way, the upper caste Hindus were also distant from the lower caste because they did not find them equal. Thus, injustice against the untouchables would still continue. Similarly, the idea that economic progress would resolve all social problems was also ill founded, according to Ambedkar. According to Ambedkar, he said that the idea where when there would be economic progress that would solve all the social problems, that was also fake, and that was also did not have any substance, according to Ambedkar. Attack on the caste. Ambedkar's main battle was against the caste system. Caste had made Hindu society stagnant. Due to the caste system, Hindu society is unable to accommodate outsiders. So, due to the caste system, Hindu society is not able to accommodate other people and other important people, and caste had made Hindu society stagnant, and it is not developing and growing due to the caste system. So his main battle was to end the caste system so that society can be freed from the shackles of the caste and religion. This drawback poses permanent problems for integration. Even internally, the Hindu society fails to satisfy the test of a homogeneous society, wherein also Hindu society also did not have unity, also did not have homogeneity in itself. Homogeneous people were not present. They all wanted to go here and there. It is only a conglomerate of different castes, wherein only different castes existed but they did not have unity and love. Caste is an obstacle in the growth of national spirit. Whenever national spirit develops, caste or the regional caste comes as a obstacle only in the growth. Most importantly, caste system perpetrates injustice on the lower castes. The caste system also perpetrates injustice on the lower castes, wherein lower castes are not considered equal as compared to the higher castes. It does not allow progress of the lower castes. Lower castes receive nothing but contempt. So lower caste does not receive development nor growth, but only contempt and deceive. So it does not allow for their progress. It does not allow for their development. Origins of caste and untouchability. The caste hierarchy and the practice of untouchability finds justification in religious scriptures. They find justification in the scriptures of the religion written by many religious writers. The Hindus widely believed that persons belonging to the untouchable community were originally from non-Aryan races and that they were of low origin, they have no capabilities, etc. So the Hindus believed that persons belonging to the untouchable community, they were all only from the non-Aryan races, wherein they had no capabilities, they were of low origin and they had no skills. Ambedkar wanted to refute these misunderstandings and create self-respect among the untouchables. So what Ambedkar wanted to do, he wanted to create self-pride among the untouchables and to abolish these kinds of misunderstandings. For this purpose, he made extensive study of Hindu scriptures and the ancient Hindu society. So he did an extensive study of what were the scriptures and what were the practices present in the Hindu society. Removal of untouchability. In place of the unjust principle of hereditary hierarchy, wherein hierarchy was considered on the basis of hereditary, he must establish the principles of equality, liberty, and fraternity. These should be the foundations of any religion. So, according to Ambedkar, the principles of equality, liberty, freedom should be the foundation of any religion, rather than hierarchy or hereditary hierarchy. Self-respect among untouchables. However, Ambedkar knew that all this involved a total change in Hinduism which would take a very long time. Therefore, along with this suggestion for basic change, he also insisted on many other ways for the upliftment of the untouchables. He also suggested many ways, many methods through which untouchables can be uplifted because bringing in these values would take a very long time. Education. Ambedkar believed that education would greatly contribute to the improvement of the untouchables. Untouchables should be, this word also should not be used according to him, and also the education should be given to them so that they are able to study and make their future. He always exhorted his followers to reach excellence in the field of knowledge. He always made his followers to reach excellence in the field of knowledge. Economic progress. Another very important remedy which Ambedkar upheld was that the untouchables should free themselves of the village community and its economic bondage. They should also free themselves from the shackles of the village community, the economic necessities, economic bondage. And they should progress economically and also in the path of education. Political strength. As a step in this direction, Ambedkar attaches much importance to political participation of the oppressed classes. He also wants the oppressed classes to participate politically in the political affairs of the country. He repeatedly emphasized that in the context of colonialism, it had become imperative that the untouchables gain political rights by organizing themselves politically. So, in the context of colonialism, where one country was ruling, there should be political rights given to the untouchables and they should be able to organize themselves in a political fashion. Conversion. Throughout his life, Ambedkar made efforts to reform the philosophical basis of Hinduism, but he was convinced that Hinduism will not modify its disposition towards the untouchables. He was convinced that Hinduism will not alter its ways or the disposition towards the untouchables. It will remain the same. Now the evaluation. 19th century Maharashtra witnessed reform activity on a large scale. Under the influence of British liberalism and in response to the criticism by Christian missionaries, many intellectuals started looking critically upon their religious ideas. Political awakening among untouchables. His writings and activity greatly contributed to the resurgence of the untouchable community, wherein untouchable community was revived. There was a resurgence with the help of Ambedkar's activities, writings and also movements. He created a sense of political awareness among the downtrodden. He also made aware, political awareness was instilled in them in the downtrodden classes. Liberty, equality and fraternity. What was the basis of Ambedkar's political ideology? He was deeply influenced by the principles of liberty, equality and fraternity. These are the guiding principles in all his writings. He visualized a new society based on these principles. He was aware that liberty alone would not be sufficient. Liberty and equality must exist simultaneously. So liberty alone or equality alone is not sufficient. They both should complement each other and they both should exist in the society simultaneously. So that was all about Ambedkar's views, Ambedkar's ideas and how he brought changes in the society and how he instilled awareness in the untouchables. So that's all for you in this session. These are some of the questions. You have to do it yourself. Question number 1, discuss the efforts made by Ambedkar to help remove untouchability. And question number 2, what role did Ambedkar play in drafting of the country's constitution? Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.